Hi, welcome back to West Coast Geeks. I'm your host, Joaquin. So, if you watched the first two parts, thank you very much. If you haven't, each video is stated in the description. The first video is just a general overview of what you receive in the product. The second video is an explanation of the character sheets and why I recommend this to be a better buy for new players who are new to the game over the recently edition Essentials DM guide or kit, which I also recommend getting. If you get into the game after you buy the starter set and you are enjoying it, the next thing I would do is buy that. First of all, while you get another starter rulebook, you're also going to get another adventure. You're going to get some other items, and I will be talking about that when I do my review on that. But it's a good pickup. Plus, you get another set of dice. Sorry, I'm getting off track. I'm trying to stay focused here. So, I recommend getting both, but the first is the starter set. And even if you do get the essential one, I would even go back and get this one because for the price of an adventure, being able to pick this up is a good value, and both of the adventures can also tie in together, which is nice. So this video is going to be about the starter set rulebook. So in here, the first chapter is how to play, and when you're new to this game, you're going to be overwhelmed with this. They give you an example of the gameplay. They're like, the Dungeon Master, DM. The castle stands among the trees, the crumbling ruins of 7 round towers jutting up from it like broken teeth. An archway littered with twisted shards of rusted metal gape open as the top of the flight of the steps. 2 of the towers, speckled with dark arrow slits, loom beside the entry, and a dark hall yawns beyond. So at this point, you after you give the description, because as a dungeon master, you're a narrator to the story, and the characters tell you what they want to do. So in this case, you have Philip the cleric. Or that could just be the character who's actually I think that's just the person's name, and they just have cleric. So Philip is playing a cleric, and it's like, let's send the rogue up ahead to look in and make sure it's safe. And Amy, who's playing a rogue, would be like, thanks for volunteering me, but okay. I'll move up to the side and sneak along the wall of the tower until I can peer in through the entrance. And then they talk about, unlike a game of make-believe, D&D gives structure to stories, a way of determining the consequences of the adventurer's actions. Players roll dice to determine whether their attacks hit or miss, and whether their characters can scale a cliff, roll away from a strike of a magic lightning bolt, or pursue some other dangerous task. Anything is possible, but the dice make some of these things more probable than others. So the DM, all right, Amy, let's see how sneaky you are. Make a dexterity check. Amy, with my stealth, right? You bet, says the DM. Amy, rolling a 20-sided dice. I'm pretty sneaky. That's a 17. DM, okay. So he's checked to see he had a perception roll that she had to beat, or she had a rating she had to beat. So apparently she beats it. And he says, okay, there's no sign that anyone notices you and you look inside. Even if there is, and this is what a lot of DMs that are new do, even if there's no chance that there's like any creatures around, you still make them make a check and roll. And the reason why you do this is because it keeps them on their feet, because if you don't give them a perception that something could be there, they'll just be like, oh, it doesn't make us make a check, and then they just start walking and doing things, and then you're like, surprise. And they're like, hey, that's not cool. So a good example of that would be not reading all of the descriptions when it comes to the module or the adventure that you can write, because you can make your own. These are just guidelines to help you out. And once you start doing your own, you start playing a couple of modules, it's easier for you to write your own adventure. Plus, in this game, since the very beginning set, they have always recommended to make these your own. These are just the foundations to a house. And we're talking like the bare foundations. Like you can, I wouldn't even say that. It's a blueprint of what you can do. And you have unlimited resources, and you can make this adventure however you want. And that's the cool thing about the game. So back to here, it goes on and talks about getting started. And it tells you, once again, if this is your first time playing Dungeons & Dragons, start by reading the rest of this chapter. It tells you the most important rules you need to play the game. And then it tells you about, bringing a friend and dice rolls. Structures of play, which is really important. They go over the 6 ability scores. Like I've mentioned in a previous video, advantage and disadvantage, ability checks. What are proficiency bonuses, contests, skills, strength checks, dexterity checks. They have a little, when they break these off and highlight these are so when you're looking through the rule books, you could be like, okay, where is this covered? It's like, bam, right in front of you. Hiding in vision, it gives you the rules. Constitution check, intelligence check, charisma checks when you're trying to persuade people. Wisdom check for insight, animal handling. And so all your skills that you saw, these are the backgrounds or the definitions of what these skills do and how you can use them. Then they have saving throws and finding a hidden object. Then they got some cool artwork here. And chapter 2, and I keep saying and. So, combat. Battle often erupts when adventurers face their foes, whether the enemies are savage monsters or cunning villains. This chapter provides the rules you need for such combat. The rules address you, the player, or the dungeon master. The dungeon master controls all the monsters and non-player characters involved in combat, and each other player controls an adventurer. You can also mean the character. You can also mean the character or monster that you control. Interesting sentence. All right. So it talks about the order of combat. And once again, you see a highlight. So this tells you how combat is going to be done. Determine surprise, establish positions, roll initiative, take turns, begin the next round. We go over the rules of combat. I'm not going to break this down completely because that would be another video. And casting a spell. So in combat, you can cast a spell, and this tells you what happens. All the other actions that you can perform, and they talk about attack rolls, unsee attackers and targets, and these are all the other rules here. They cover pretty much everything that you could think of. I mean, there are a few exceptions, but melee attack, opportunity attacks. If you're fighting with two-handed weapons, if you're in cover or they're in cover. How hit points and damage work, because hit points is how much health you have, and once you hit 0, you're knocked out and you're about to die. They explain damage rolls, how that works, critical hits, damage types, damage resistance and vulnerability, healing. So all these rules help you as a dungeon master to have the game run smooth. You have a chapter about adventuring. Whether delving into the dungeon, trekking through the wilderness, or navigating a teeming city, adventurers need rest, and they seek advancements in gear. This chapter will give rules for travel and resting, describe rewards, and detailed equipment that might help characters survive. The art's not bad. I like the perspective, what they were doing with it, though. Then we talk about travel, long rest, rewards. Once again, coinage, money, equipment. Breakdown of weapons, how much they cost, the damage, the weight, which can be important if you really get into the rules where you are logged down by how much equipment and treasure you can carry. Properties give you extra rules. If the weapon is versatile, two-handed. So versatile in this means that with a battle axe, you can swing it for one hand. It only do 1 dice 8 slashing damage. Or you could use it with 2 and you do 1 dice 10 slashing damage. Ammunition, range, loading. As you see, this has already been bent up and seen much love. Adventuring gear, food, drink, animals. Next chapter is chapter 4, spell casting. Magic permeates the world of D&D and most often appears in the form of a spell. This chapter provides the rules for casting spells. Clerics and wizards have distinctive ways of learning and preparing their spells, and the monsters use spells in unique ways. Regardless of the source, a spell follows the rules here. So they talk about what's the spell, and look, another highlight, casting an armor. So they start giving you all the rules and definitions. Components, range, target. Again, I'm not giving you like an in-depth about all this. This is just to give you an insight of what the game is and to perk your interest to see if it would be something if you're interested in. I'm also going to be doing a video where I describe and illustrate, because I'm an artist, gameplay. So we're going to see where that goes. And here's a spell list for clerics and wizards. And they talk about the schools of magic. And they give a description of all the spells, the casting time, the range, components, duration, and a description of what the spells do. And they're in alphabetical order. But you have to be a certain level to cast this spell, like Lightning Bolt here. You have to be 3rd level. Or it's a 3rd level spell, so you have to be, I want to say at least 3rd level to cast that spell. You might have to be 4th, but I'm pretty sure it's 3rd. And light, but don't equivalate once you hit 9th level, you can cast a 9th level spell, because it doesn't work that way. Usually you can't cast a 9th level spell till you reach like 18th level. But for the purposes of this video, I believe at 3rd you can cast a lightning bolt. But don't quote me. And back to the spell, so and right here they give you all the credits. And right here are conditions. So during the game, you can be blinded, charmed, you can be deafened, frightened, grappled, incapacitated, invisible. Either you can be this, or the creatures that you are playing can be these, or the non-player characters, which are as a state non-player characters the Dungeon Master controls. So that's the breakdown for the starter set rulebook. I hope you're enjoying this series. I really do love playing this game. I've been playing since the age of 8, and I've been playing on and off since then. I have played since the beginning, except for what they had for what led into Dungeons and Dragons, which was like chainmail. Excuse me, that was way before my time. Because I want to say I was like 2 or 3 when that came out. That's to show you how old I am. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Hit the like and subscribe button, and I'll catch you next video. Catch you later, people.